3, 2, 1. BJ Bennett here. We're at the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina, previewing the Citadel Bulldogs here on SouthernPigskin.com. And of course, a banner year last year for the Citadel Bulldogs, and their head football coach Brent Thompson here with us, or we're here with him, I should say. Coach, good to see you. How are you?
Great. I'm doing absolutely great. How you been doing?
Doing great. Thanks so much for allowing us to visit with you. And for you, it's been a busy 6 months. Named head coach of the Citadel, obviously coming up from within the staff. What has been kind of priority number one for you here this spring and summer?
Well, I think the first thing was stability. Was to try to keep the staff in place and kind of keep on with the plan. I mean, we had a 3 or 4 year plan going in here, and all we really want to do is continue with that plan and throw a little bit of my different spin on it. So really, we wanted to keep the players, the staff, and everything about as stable as we could. And with being just about a 2 week transition phase right around recruiting, there is we kept that fairly smooth. And then since spring recruiting and spring football have hit, everything's been fairly stable. So I think that was priority number one for us, was just reassuring our players, reassuring our fans, reassuring our alumni, and reassuring our staff that everything's in place. And we're going to continue as if it was year 3 for the staff.
And for you guys, an exciting time to be a Bulldog. Last year, you beat South Carolina, you make the FCS playoffs, you beat Coastal. A lot of momentum heading into the offseason. What are the expectations? What's kind of the mindset here as we look ahead to the fall?
Yeah, I think the expectations outside of this building and outside of our locker room, they've been raised, which we greatly appreciate. That is, we always knew that we could do it here. We always knew that we could do it with the young man that we do get here, the cadet student athlete that we do have here. And everybody else is starting to see that. But our expectations within these walls and within this locker room, they've never changed. We thought last year about midway through the season that we could win the Southern Conference, and absolutely sharing it last year was good. But we have goals of winning the thing outright at this point.
Record-setting offensive production last year. When the offense is clicking, it's a thing of beauty. How much confidence do you have in that unit with Dominique Allen back? Obviously, a lot of big-time playmakers in the backfield.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of guys in the backfield. And we're talking about that Coastal Carolina game, is we had 4 100-yard rushers, and being that a lot about the triple option, is when you're returning those kind of players and you're returning those kind of guys that are unselfish, and that's the kind of program that we run here. That's the kind of offense, that's the kind of defense that we run here. That's what we're winning with around here. That gives you a great comforting feeling. Now, with that being said, we've got to work hard, maybe even harder, because we've got a little bit more of a target on our back. But these guys they're here right now. They're lifting, they're training, they're going to class, they're getting jobs, they're doing internships right now. So they've got busy days here, but these guys are really doing a great job preparing for this upcoming season.
Walking around the campus, there's a great energy on campus. Your players are obviously excited. How do you funnel that? Because when you're a coach, you're half psychologist. How do you funnel the momentum of last season into continued production and success this fall?
I think it all comes down to hunger. When we left in May and our kids were graduating, they're getting out of here, I left them with one last vision, and that was of that Charleston Southern game. We've still got a lot to go. We won our playoff game and we beat the South Carolina, but that 2015 team, they're not going to help us out this year, that's for sure. This is a new team. This is a completely different dynamic of a team. And although we're going to try to do things about the same as we've done in the past and just get better at them, we've still got to be able to execute. We've got to stay healthy. We've got to train harder. We've even got to be that much more on our game going into this season.
Coach, talk if you can about the tradition of this place. I think people around the country, for a variety of reasons, know about the Citadel and all that the university has accomplished and represents. But you talk about athletically, a tradition of leadership. Great coaches have come through here. Talk about your role now as the head football coach at the Citadel.
Well, you talked about the coaches here. I mean, if you go downstairs and you look at some of those teams that they had last year, and you're talking about Frank Beamer and Ralph Regan and Bobby Ross and so on, Cal McComb, you're talking about some really great football coaches, though. You feel good once you've been here, is that, hey, once I'm here, and I think I'll be well taken care of around here. These guys have gone out and they've done a great job. The place itself, the Charlie Taff era, there's a great history of triple option football here, which is probably the most comforting to me. Is there's very few places in the country where they accept you and they really want to do that. And so you're looking at about a handful of about maybe 5 places. Georgia Southern used to be one of those, but Georgia Tech's one of those, and then of course all the academies. So when they embrace that that's the kind of place that it was for me. And so the tradition of the triple option, tradition of the coaching, but most importantly, it's the academic tradition here. And we're top school in the South, voted on 5 years in a row here. The type of players that we bring in here, the type of graduates that we have out of here, the state senators that we have out of here. That's truly remarkable. And I've had an opportunity over the last 5 weeks to go out and speak to 18 different clubs around the state and some of our bordering states, and really meeting all these alums. And one day I said at this thing, I said, you know what the most amazing thing is? They all want to talk about football and the football program, but I want to talk about them, and I want to ask them. There's so many great business leaders out there. There's so many great politicians out there. So really, this place produces great military leaders as well. As it's just great to meet these kind of people and start to interact with a different group than you've ever been before. Not being a head football coach before, you don't get to interact too much with alumni. So that's been a new experience for me as well.
Let me ask you this: you have a lot of great senior leaders on this team. What determines leadership? How would you define leadership?
Leadership is developed here. It's really the way that they've been trained here. The cadet student athlete here, they're talked to about leadership all throughout their academic curriculum, all throughout the Corps of Cadets. And then what we get it here is we talk about it too, is taking ownership of the program. We've got a leadership council here, and we're really talking about handing this program down to the next generation. So more than leader, it's teaching. And a lot of that goes into the way that the dynamic is set here with the fourth class system, is you're really trying to teach and train the other classes. And if that means that you're going to lead by example, that's great, but we really were looking for that more hands-on leaders, senior leaders of this program, because the way to win here, we're not going to get transfers here. That's not the way we operate. We're going to win with older players, and the older players have got to be able to train younger players to be older players and to be leaders.
Coach, finally back to the football field. What are the keys to success this fall for you here in year one? What's going to determine whether or not the Citadel is successful?
We've got to play with a sense of urgency. We've got to play with a sense of emotion. We've got to continue to do what we did last year, and that was take care of the football, create turnovers, run the football. We know that people pack the box on us. We've got to be creative. We've got to be tough. We've got to be physical. We've got to make people, when we get to the fourth quarter, we've got to make people defend us all 4 quarters on offense and on defense. We've got to be solid in the kicking game. We lost Eric Owens, who was a terrific kicker for us. But I think we'll be okay. We're able to sign a 5th-year player for us. That'll help us out in the kicking game. So I think if we're about as physical as we were last year, create the turnovers and hold on to the football, we'll be fine.
Coach Brent Thompson, Coach, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.